And welcome back to Subculture. Well, you might remember a couple of weeks ago we had a special guest on our show called Shane Palmer who told us about a great new Aussie theatre production called You Can't Escape an Aussie Boy that is coming to the Butterfly Club in Melbourne. Well, today we've got somebody else who's associated with this brilliant brand new production. We've got Riley on the phone and he's going to tell us a little bit more about this production and what people can expect to see if they head along to check out You Can't Escape an Aussie Boy. Welcome to the program, Riley.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Now, Riley, tell us a little bit about your journey so far with You Can't Escape an Aussie Boy.
So I've been mates with Shane for ages now, like years, and he had the show written, and at one point we were just sitting having a beer, and he just said, "Oh, did you want to do it? Because I've got the space booked and might just be a lark." And yeah, that was sort of that. It was just like, it sounded like a bit of fun, and it has been kind of just enjoying the process of it. And I've never directed theatre before, so I think he really took a punt on giving me a shot, and I really appreciate it.
So, what was your first reaction when he told you about the idea for this show? Because it's one of those shows that as soon as you hear what it's about, you want to go and see it. So, what was your reaction when he first told you what this show was going to be like?
I really liked sort of the core idea of like the using a footy club as an allegory for bigger sort of political conversations, and also like I'm personally not a very big fan of live theatre, and so every time we were talking about it, I would sort of like just interrupt him and talk about all the stuff I didn't like about theatre, and they all became jokes that he wanted to put in. And sort of that became really enticing of doing like almost an anti-theatre show.
Yep. So, yeah, you come from a background of movies. Of course, you worked as a script assessor for various companies, including Village Roadshow. Is it a big change for you stepping into theatre?
Yeah, it is. It's and just to clarify, I did internships at Village Roadshow and XYZ, and I've done like sort of freelance script assessing. So all of my work is like basically in the writing zone.
Yep.
So this is the first time I've sort of worked on something creatively where I'm not writing it, and that's been a bit of a change, but quite a pleasant one, because I think I sort of just personally like really hold the script in high regard, and it's been kind of nice to sort of let someone else do all that worrying, and just focus on the jokes and find what's funny and find what's sad, and yeah.
And I know when we were talking to Shane about it, we were talking about the fact that he has been in and around local footy clubs. You grew up in Frankston. Were you involved with the local footy scene there at all? Like, have you got that inside like Shane has?
Nah, not at all. So, like, I was just a bit of a video game nerd and couldn't do sports to save my life. So, and it's like growing up down there on the southeast, you got all these beaches and you could see everyone surfing or playing footy, and it was just me in my living room playing games. But I found his perspective is really integral to the whole piece, especially because it's not only does he have sort of that insight into footy clubs, but he has an insight into sort of like regional footy clubs, and there is sort of quite a difference. Like the way he grew up to how I grew up is vastly different. And so getting that insight's really cool.
Do you think?
I think. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you think that actually helps in a way, because then you're asking questions that perhaps an audience member who hasn't been in and around footy clubs might be asking as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And it feels the same as sort of the anti-theatre director thing that I'm trying to do. Everything he sort of comes up with, I just have to cynically question because I just don't know.
Yeah.
And that makes it really interesting of sort of diving in on a lot of things that he sort of understood over the years as just like social practices about footy that like the more I sort of like poke at, the more he sort of realizes they're quite ridiculous too.
Now, I have to ask, what is it like working with Shane? You said that you're really great mates. What's it been like working with him on a production like this?
Oh, it's been a pleasure. He's really open to a lot of direction, but also a lot of changes, which is quite nice. He when we started, he's like, because he wrote the thing, he said, at this point now as director, just change everything if you want. I've done this. Now it's up to you to sort of take it from here. And that's been kind of quite freeing, because there's been several changes we've made to the script that I probably wouldn't have done myself if I was writing it, but being able to sort of come in as a director and say, no, this joke works better this way, or maybe this hits harder for the character emotionally this way. He's just really open to all those changes. And I really respect that about him. And also he's so whip smart, and it's fun watching him and the other boys do like just improv their way through the show sometimes and just come up with jokes on the spot. Like, yeah, I can't knock him as a comedic force. He's just great.
Now, the other boys that you just mentioned are Jeremy Harland and Nathan Wright. Shane and I didn't actually get to talk much about them the other day. So, Riley, can you tell us a little bit about Jeremy and Nathan and how you cast those guys for their roles as Dan and Tim?
Yeah, well, our self-taping process was we just took parts of the script and then just gave them different prompts to see how they'd sort of react to it. So there's a bit of a monologue for Nathan's character at the start, and sort of we told him to try and do it as if his dog just died, and basically that was sort of like, if he could find a way of making that funny, then that was sort of a really key thing for us. And that's what Nathan did. He just sort of like brings this like really funny sensitivity to his character of it sort of reminds me of like Chris Farley, or sort of those like early days kinds of guys who like, they're doofuses but they're just really lovable at the same time. Yeah. And Jeremy is sort of like a bit of an antithesis to Shane and Nathan, because he's a bit of a younger guy, and you can feel there's a bit more of a cynicism and a bit more of a skepticism to him when he's in a character. And he's just got a great way of sort of, it's hard to do what he's doing, because in some ways he's kind of meant to be the straight man, the straight face in it. But to also be funny as the straight man is a pretty tough challenge. And he sort of just like knocks it out of the park. And again, when we're doing like, when we're improvising or coming up with jokes, all three of them are just like throwing new ideas out there that are just like hilarious. And it's just fun watching them sort of play with it. And Jeremy especially, he reacts really well to sort of coming up with new ideas. And yeah, the show's so much stronger having Nathan and Jeremy a part of it.
Definitely. Now, for all of our listeners out there, if you want to head along and check out You Can't Escape an Aussie Boy, it's on from the 13th to the 18th of November, 7 p.m. every night at the Butterfly Club in Carson Place in Melbourne. And you can grab tickets right now from the Butterfly Club website, and we will put a link up on our website to where you can grab those tickets from as well. Riley, to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are thinking about heading along to check out this great production?
I think, that's a good question. I guess if you love footy, it's a show for you, but also if you really freaking hate footy, it's probably still the show for you. There's something to laugh at for everybody. So, yeah.
Definitely. Now, for all of our listeners out there, again, if you want to go and see You Can't Escape an Aussie Boy, it's on from the 13th to the 18th of November at the Butterfly Club at 5 Carson Place in Melbourne at 7 p.m. every night. Tickets are available from the Butterfly Club website right now. Riley, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us today. It's been an absolute honour having you on the show.